you need to be authentic of who you are all the time, right?
Yeah.
So if you're kind of a hot mess, you need to show up as kind of a hot mess all the time, right? And just be like, okay, this is me.
Yeah.
This is what you're going to see, right? And so
Yeah.
I think it's just being very authentic of who you are, what you believe in, you know, and not going based on what you think other people think you should do.
Well, Jodi, thank you so much for coming on down to our studio here downtown Omaha to do an episode of the Biztape. So thanks for taking time today.
Thank you for having me.
So some background information. We met at Speed Networking. So this is the second time we've connected. It's a Greater Omaha Chamber of Commerce event.
Yeah.
And I saw a bright pink jacket. So this person's interesting. Got to say hi. And so, yeah, led to an interesting, we only had 5 minutes, but interesting conversation. So this is the second time ever we're talking.
Yeah.
And the jacket is still pink. It's still bright. If you're audio only, you're missing out.
It's always pink.
Why is your brand tied to pink? And that's no hate whatsoever.
Yeah.
I love bright colors, but why?
Well, I was in corporate HR for 20 years, and I worked for very conservative organizations. My color scheme was black, and maybe if I got crazy, I might have wore white or gray. And so when I decided to go out on my own, I decided, you know what, I'm going to be something bold. And so I put pink in my brand, just my logo, and now it is who I am. And so if I show up somewhere not in pink, I get called out on it all the time. So when I talk about creating a personal brand and what you're known for, it is real, right? So now I'm like, I better love pink because this is what I'm known for and this is what I wear every day. And so I went from all black to now my whole closet is pink.
Now, have you developed a greater love for pink, or do you just hate it now?
I love it. I do love it. Yeah. There's times that I have put a lot of pink in my hair too. And so it's just little sass, right? And so it brought me back to like, you know, high school and like kind of when I was more carefree.
Yeah.
And so I don't have to follow anybody's rules anymore. I've decided what success means to me. And I've really just dove into that and not going based on what society or people think I should do.
Yeah. Well, today we're going to talk a lot about values, knowing your own values. How do you talk about them? How do you market it? How do you just communicate it to your staff and the value behind that? And if you don't know those things, yes, it can have a detrimental impact on your business, your bottom line, but honestly, yourself. So it's not a conversation we've had to this point. So really excited today. I think a natural jumping off point is talk to me about, beforehand, you had mentioned when you were working in HR, you didn't stay there forever. You did wear black all the time. And ultimately you realized your own mission, vision, values for just your own life wasn't aligned with that of your business. How did you come to that conclusion?
Yes. So I thought I was in my dream job, actually. I was corporate HR as a vice president for HR for a large organization. Traveled globally. Like seriously, it was the job that I loved. And I was having one conversation with one of the other top execs, talking to him about the integrity of another exec. And he told me that I was not that important and he didn't have time for me.
Verbatim. Like
Yes.
that. Oh my goodness.
Verbatim.
Oh my.
And
As one should say to the people below you.
yeah. And so
Put them in their place.
yeah. And so I was like, okay, I'm a pretty high level. And if this is the next level that said this to me, I can only imagine what he thinks about the rest of our employees. And I actually can't work here anymore.
Yeah.
And so I did something completely out of character for me. I quit on the spot. I was not a risk taker at that time.
Wow.
I did not have a game plan of what I was going to do. Maybe if you'd have told me that the next day, I may have stayed there. I still might be there.
Wow.
But I'm thankful for that he said that. I wasn't super thankful at the time, but I'm thankful that he's told me that. Now, one would think that I'd call my spouse and talk to him and tell him like, hey, this is what I'm thinking. Instead, I text him afterwards and told him that I quit my job. So not the best marriage advice, but from that moment, I flipped my life completely upside down. And as I continued to dig deep why I did that, it was really based on who he was as a values system and that we just weren't aligned anymore. And so I kept digging deep and saying, okay, why was that so important to me? And so it was really based on who I was and what I make tick. And I'm okay with working tons of hours and traveling if it's aligned with who I am. And so, and I just couldn't support him and his leadership anymore. And so I help other people now really make sure that they understand what their values are. Because most time you ask somebody what their values are, and everybody says they have values, but if you ask them, please name your top 3 to 5 values, most people can't do it. Right. And so I help people really identify what makes them tick, right? Both from a professional standpoint and a personal standpoint. And are you living in those values every day?
What are your top 3 to 5 values?
Yeah. So mine is community, connection, authenticity, integrity.
Okay. So
what are your, can I ask you what some of your top are?
Oh, see, listen, I'm figuring that out as we
Well,
speak. Hopefully I'll know by the end of this conversation.
Yes.
And then by the end, I'll say, oh, those are my 3 to 5. It's so introspective. Figuring them out. Honestly, that's where I am right now. Based on a few conversations I've had in the last couple of months, I've realized the importance of, wow, if you don't really know where you're going, if you can't articulate your values, how is anyone else supposed to know it? And if you're on a small startup team like we are, you might have people that aren't aligned and they might not be happy.
Correct.
And so it's so important just for just a great culture, good workplace to have all those values aligned. Going back to yours.
Yes.
Getting me off the hot seat again. So you mentioned authenticity.
Yeah.
You, what were the other ones? I'm sorry. It was authenticity.
Connection.
Okay.
Community. Integrity.
So these are a lot of SEO buzzwords right now that could mean a lot of different things to everyone.
Yeah.
What do those words mean to you?
Sure. So connection, I believe truly in connecting yourself with other people that are like-minded, and then also connecting them with people that you think that could add value to each one of their lives. I'm a big connector. One of my friends here in Omaha, she says I'm like the Kevin Bacon of Omaha, that there's like a 6 degrees of me because I'm very connected with just helping people connect to the right people. So I believe strongly in that. I believe in community of let's help each other build a community and people that you enjoy spending time with. And supporting and also serving the community. And so I feel like, especially as an entrepreneur, you get to choose your community, right? There's so many out there, but figuring out where your kind of tribe is and feeling comfortable in that tribe and growing and things like that. So I feel like that's super important. Authenticity is just being who you are in every aspect, right? I talk to a lot about people about if somebody saw you on social media and you were one way and then you met them in person and they saw you a different way. How would you feel about that person? Right? Most people are like, I feel icky. I feel like that person's fake. Right.
Yep.
And so I feel like you need to be authentic of who you are all the time. Right.
Yeah.
So if you're kind of a hot mess, you need to show up as kind of a hot mess all the time. Right. And just be like, okay, this is me.
Yeah.
This is what you're going to see. Right. And so I think it's just being very authentic of who you are, what you believe in, and not going based on what you think other people think you should do. And then integrity, what I say, what I'm going to do is going to happen. So, and I want to surround myself around people with that too. So they're all very much connected. My business name is Authentically Yours Development, and it's all about being authentic to yourself.
Wow. Yeah. So starting that out, how did that begin? You said you quit. You had no next steps.
No steps.
Somehow, some way, you saw a pink jacket and there's just angels singing, right?
Yeah.
Something that was a start.
Yes.
What was the origin story?
Yeah. So when I quit, I didn't know what I was going to do. I enjoyed renovating homes, and so I decided I would never go back to corporate HR. I'm like, I'm never going to be in that situation again. And my mind's changed a little bit since then. But I was just starting to flip like furniture. Like if you think of like rehab furniture, I was just doing that for fun. And so all of a sudden that became my full-time gig. As you can imagine, that does not pay the same as a VP of HR. And then my husband, he actually decided to quit his job too. And we started flipping houses together. So we were renovating houses. We both love to do that. And so our brand color was hot pink on our logo. And so we always wore pink. And so we definitely stood out in the contracting industry, especially for a male wearing hot pink. He still is a general contractor and he wears hot pink shorts almost every day. He has like 15 pairs of hot pink shorts. And it just stands out, right? And so that's how we got the pink color. It's just something different, especially in contracting or construction industry. And then as I continued to build and I said, okay, I love flipping homes. But he actually said to me, I can tell that you miss coaching people and helping people and everybody come to you for advice, I think you need to figure out how you can do that again.
Mm-hmm.
And so I started looking at it and said, okay, I don't think I want to go back to corporate HR, but I do see there's a huge opportunities to help individuals or small businesses make sure that they're aligned with who they are, their values. I saw so many small businesses starting up a product or starting up their business because they loved a product or service. But then after a year, they'd go under because they had to do all the other things, right? And a lot of it is because they weren't aligned with who they really are. And so they were trying to compete with other people and follow the same thing that somebody else was doing.
Mm-hmm.
And so I saw a huge need to help businesses with those strategies. But the first thing we talk about is the foundation is your values. And so when I started my own business, I'm like, okay, it's going to still be pink. And it's really like exploded.
Yeah. Well, tell me that first client story, right? That's like the biggest moment for any business. It's the breakthrough. Someone's willing to work with you.
Yeah.
How did that come to play?
I think it was just, friends that knew me and they're like, okay, I know that she has the background and I know she has the hustle and I'm going to give it a try. Mm-hmm. I'm stuck. I don't know what to do. I need advice. And so we worked through some of those things together. At first I was like, I'll take all the clients, right? And then I really dug in and said, okay, they're great people, but maybe they're not my ideal clients, right? And so once again, their values might not be quite aligned with who I am. Nothing wrong with them, nothing wrong with me. But very important that if I'm going to get into your business, both in your business and your mind business, that we have to like each other and we have to respect each other. And so I've got a lot more discerning about who I work with and vice versa. Like we got to really just get to know each other before we say, let's even talk about how I can help you.
Yeah. Now, with the people you work with, you mentioned beforehand, you work with predominantly females,
yes,
women. And the question I have is there a reason, do you believe, that maybe are guys less interested in this type of work? Or why do you think that is?
I think a lot of it's because I do a lot of work with mindset. And I would say stereotypically, more women are open to that.
Mm.
And so,
yeah, we're perfect.
Yeah.
We need nothing. We're actually good.
Well, it's crazy.
I'm kidding.
Because my husband owns his own business, right? And
Yeah.
I can coach him. And he's like, yeah. And I'm like, you have a business coach living with you right now, right? But sometimes you need to hear it from somebody else's perspective, right? Not your
He's
spouse's.
like, I was talking to Tom at the bar tonight. He said, I've been saying that.
Yes. I'm like, okay, that's great. Yeah.
Yeah.
So I think women just, like I said, stereotypically, not everybody, but they're just more open to the mindset work.
Mm-hmm.
And that's where I spend a lot of time of understanding mindset.
Sure.
A lot more stereotypically, men are focused more just on the strategy.
Mm.
And I get that. And I'm a very strategic person. But if we don't have the values and the foundation set, the strategy is not going to matter. It's really just not going to. You're not going to hire the right people. There's going to be so many different challenges, right? Turnover, there's employee morale. There's so many different things that are going to be problems if the foundation is not set in stone.
Mm. Do you have any key insights into whether it's something you saw when you were at a part of your larger company or something outside of your own story? Maybe it was a leader who didn't really know themselves and how it had a really detrimental impact on that business, whether it's the bottom line, losing employees, anything. Is there anything that comes to mind where it's like a case study of why this is so valuable?
Yeah, I'd say a lot of it's from a culture standpoint of really understanding what kind of company or business you're trying to build and who you stand for. And if you get the wrong players in there, they can completely mess up your entire organization.
Yep.
Think of it from a sales perspective. If you bring the wrong sales manager or salesperson in and you're having them go out and talk to clients and they don't believe what you believe in, you can completely burn all those bridges, right?
Yep.
I've seen a lot of firsthand that I've had to either, do performance discussions or let people go because the fit of the values were not there or how the people talk to people, the respect was not there. And so just a lot of employee morale issues I don't even want to go down all the HR issues that I have. I could write a book just on all the problems, all the problem children.
I do think while there might be a lot of people listening to this that say, this sounds really like soft skill, frou-frou stuff. Okay, great for employee retention, but whatever, all my people work from home. Okay. Are you ever interested in selling your business? Mm-hmm. Are you looking into buying a business? I've seen a number of mergers and acquisitions, M&A deals go south because people weren't aligned. on paper, everything was beautiful, but then you throw humans into a room, and 1 year later, half of the people are gone. 2 years, they're all gone.
Yes.
And it was, and you asked the executives who made that purchase, would you do it again? Like, well, duh, I wouldn't.
Correct.
And it all starts with alignment.
Correct. And I think like COVID showed a lot of people, a lot of people were working in the office prior to COVID, especially like in some of these larger organizations. And they didn't want to give that flexibility for people to work from home, right? Because they're like, the butt needs to be in the seat because I don't know if they're working, right? And that's a problem all of itself. If you don't trust your employees, you have the wrong employees, right? And so when all of a sudden COVID forced everybody to work from home, it caused a completely different dynamics. I believe that if you hire the right people, you're going to trust them to do the work that you need them to do. You don't have to micromanage them. You don't need to say, okay, are you in your seat from 8 to 5? Because just because the butt's in the seat does not mean that they're actually working on what you need them to do. But if you have the right culture fit and the right values that are aligned with your values, they're going to do the work that needs to be done.
Totally.
Right. And so there is a bottom line impact. Yes, it feels like soft, but the soft skills are actually the hard skills. Actually, that's what it's going to actually get you the financials, right?
Yeah.
If you have the right people in place.
Well, the average startup, the minority of businesses or startup businesses make it past 5 years. So congratulations, you're past that. I'm curious why you're still going.
Yeah, it hasn't been easy. I was like, this has not been sunshine and rainbows every day.
Yeah.
But it is like, I am very service based, that I want to help people, and I want to make sure that people are doing things that they love. Life is way too short to be unhappy. And like I said, I walked away from a very nice job, very nice financial job too. I had it all. And I flipped my life completely upside down. I sold my dream home. I sold everything. I sold my retirement, everything. So my husband and I could start our businesses. And so I can tell you that I did not get a lot of people to support that. They all thought I was having like a midlife crisis, and maybe I was, I don't know. But I feel very passionate about what I'm doing, and that I know that it takes a while to build those businesses, and you trust, like it's very, you got to trust yourself, but it always goes back to who I am and my values. And I'm like, this is what I'm meant to be, and to help people live the same kind of life.
The first time someone ever left, I was an employee of mine. I had not managed people really before this job. And they told me down the road, as the business was growing, we were winning, and she just seemed sadder and sadder and not as happy with work. And I remember when she put in her notice, said I had gone to school for something completely outside of business and marketing, and she was awesome, did fantastic work for us, but decided, I don't really know if value-wise this is what you're chasing. I don't really know if that's what I want. And that should have been the first time that made me stop and say, let's think about that.
Yeah.
No, it took a few others. Like
It usually does.
a few other people saying,
yeah,
what is it that I am chasing? And is it that insane that but by doing that and this process, I think I told you, we hired 3 different people this week. We had a list of 75 applicants we talked to. And in that time, a lot of it came down to what are our values? And by articulating it, I would say at least a quarter of them self-selected to pull themselves from the application process and interviewing process. And actually, thanks for telling me this is not a place I want to work.
Correct. Yes. I think a lot of times people think, okay, you have the skills, right? You have the knowledge, you have the degree, you have the education, you have the experience, and that's one thing, but you have to have the right fit for both you and the person, the employee. I believe that when someone's interviewing, like you might be interviewing candidates, but guess what? They're interviewing you at the same time. They should be anyways. Yep. Because this is where they're spending their life at, a lot of their life, that it should be a good place. And just because you are good at something does not mean that you should do it. Right. And so, like I'll get a lot of people asking me, hey, can you come teach an HR compliance to our organization? And I can, but I don't want to. Yeah. Because I'm like, yeah, I have the knowledge. But it's not what lights me up anymore. And so I don't want to, and so that's nice and freeing to know that. But I think it's so important to make sure that the fit is so critical. When I was in HR, I interviewed hundreds of people, right, for different jobs. And once again, you look at the resume, you see the skills and experience, but it's so important to like dig deeper and understand what makes that person tick.
Yeah.
And make sure it's aligned. Once again, there's nothing wrong with somebody if it's not aligned. It's just helping you make sure that you're happy with what you're doing.
Yep.
Every day. Because work's hard. Being an entrepreneur is hard. It'd be better if you liked what you're doing. Right. And so when
100%.
things do get hard, like you asked this question, like what had me kept going? When things get hard, I go back to my values and I go back to like, what's my why? And my why is to have a positive impact on others and just surround myself to have a positive impact. And also for others to be that I surround myself with that has the same way. Like victim mentality does not work well with me.
Yeah.
Like
awesome.
Negativity does not work well. Like, let's talk through it. And if you want to keep going there, you probably should go talk to somebody else because I don't want to talk about this anymore. you know?
I hear
Let's
you.
move forward.
Well,
right?
staying on the thought process of thinking about your why.
Mm-hmm.
If your life, when it's all said and done, was able to be made up onto a soundtrack, we're a media company, so let's say a cassette,
Gosh.
and you had a song for every area of your life, and you got to pick the song that you'd hope would best exude the work you did during your career, what song would you go with?
I mean, I'm sure like at one point, I don't know what the song would be, but like it was Hustle Harder, right? Like I'm sure I could think of a song, but it's always just hustle, 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 work hard, don't sleep, right? Like business first, personal stuff on the side. I would say that was corporate, is that I was there to prove that I could do the job. And so unfortunately, all of my personal life was on the back burner. If work needed me, I was there, right? And it was great. I mean, once again, I'm not mad about any of it. I'm the one that chose that. But I would say now it's just so much more free. Like I get to decide how my days are going to be. I just decide the people I spend time with and the people I invest my time in and vice versa. If I don't have boundaries, it's my own fault, right? And so I'll have to think about songs. Of course, I love to sing all the songs, but now I can't think of any titles. But it's just more just peace and energized. So I'll have to get back to you on song titles. So.
Yeah. Part 2.
Yeah.
Part two incoming.
Yes.
Well, for folks who are listening to this today and they found value in this episode and they want to know more, they want to follow you, they should go check out your book.
Yes.
Where can people go?
Yes. So the website is Authentically Yours Development. It's a long one. But also Facebook, Instagram, same thing, just Authentically Yours Development. And then my book is actually on Amazon. It's called Permission Granted. And I have a workbook that goes along with it. The book is part memoir, part kind of like digging deep in self-help, right? And just having you think of things differently. So we talk about your values. We talk about how you're showing up. So this might be something good for you to look at and how you're showing up on all different aspects. Are you showing up personally? Are you showing up, networking events, associations, business, all those things? And then how are you leading? What does success look like to you? And so there's a workbook companion. And then I also teach like a book club. And so we talk about it together, which has been awesome. Once again, you bring back my value of community and connection. And that's where a lot of the book club comes in, of connecting people together. Like right now, I'm in the middle of a book club. It's week 4. And these ladies never knew each other before 4 weeks ago. And they are sharing some stuff that is pretty freaking amazing that they've never even talked out loud about before. So, but yeah, I'd say most socials, and then LinkedIn. Yeah, all Authentically Yours Development, or my name, Jodi Krymuza.
Awesome. Yeah. Well, Jodi, thank you so much for taking time to talk to me today on the Biztape. Yeah. And for the listener who pulled up a chair, thanks so much for checking it out. Yeah. We had a lot of fun today. And if you had just as much fun as we did, you're probably going to want to hit subscribe so you don't miss the next one. I don't know who we're going to talk to, but I also know it's going to be fun. And I also know you're not going to want to miss it. See you then.